Hey geeks, welcome to the 21st episode of Rock Your Code with dotNetDave. I'm David McCarter, and I'm really excited about this show because I get to talk for at least an hour with one of my really good friends that I've known since, I was thinking about it today, I think it's 1994 when I met him at VBits. And also in 1994, him and his cohort, Gary, hosted my very first website back in 1994. So I really, in which, we didn't have cool apps to write websites back then, right? We wrote websites at Notepad. So Carl Franklin and I go really far back. And I've got some more stories to share about him during the show. But I've been super excited about this show. And I hope you are too. Hope that's why you're here, right? Hopefully. Hey, Mahesh, I'm glad you decided to watch me instead of play with your daughter. Maybe your daughter's watching too. Who knows? So anyway, let's get started. So again, Carl Franklin's going to be on. He's a C# developer, of course. Azure wonk. I'll have to ask him what that means. Blazor warrior. Last time I saw Carl Franklin was actually when he was here in San Diego doing the Blazor Train roadshow. And musician and producer and dad and husband and all around great guy. And yeah, I'm excited about the show too. Can you tell? So before I forget, as usual, everybody, please text, make a comment on the show and ask your questions for Carl, so we can get them. Try to get as many answered during the show in 1 hour. Right before the show started, I was kind of wishing this was 2 hours today, but because I'm so excited to get to talk to Carl. But it's only an hour, so make sure you send in your questions so we can get them answered as soon as we can. And also because I want to leave a little time at the end for a little special surprise for you all. So anyway, let's get going. I've got a couple slides and then we're going to get into it. If I can click on the right screen. So I'm looking to speak, in a little over a week, I'll be fully COVID vaccinated. So I'm getting super excited for the opportunity to not only get out there and leave my 10-mile radius of my home, but also to get back to some of the things I love, which is speaking and photography and playing music and all those kind of things, going to concerts. Oh my gosh, it's been over a year and a half since I've been to a concert. No wonder I'm so grumpy. Anyway, if you want me to come and speak in your city, no matter what country it is, please go there or have your conference organizer go to this URL and request me to come speak, because I really want to get out and speak this year. Currently, I have nothing on my schedule, so I'm looking to fill that up. So if you're a conference organizer, use the group, you lead a team at work, use that, and I'd be more than happy to speak at your group virtually, or I prefer in person, because that's the kind of person, that's the kind of speaker I am. I particularly don't like speaking on a webcam. So, hey everybody, I'm glad so many people are here. Woohoo! So make sure you ask Carl your questions now. I wanted to promote my brand new open source project that's called Spargene. You can go to spargene.net. It's all written in .NET 5. This week, I've actually been working on the next quarterly release that will come out at the beginning of the month. Last night, which takes most of the night, I did the benchmarking tests for the new version, and I looked at them this morning, and they're looking really good. And so this version that's coming out soon, there'll be an article on CSharpCorner 2. Has lots of new functions, classes. I'm trying to catch up on my unit testing, and of course, I'm adding a lot more benchmarking, because I'm really big into benchmarking these days. So anyway, I hope you go check it out. Spargene.net. It's free. Why not? So this week I wanted to talk a little bit about, again, my new effort to raise money for the Voice of Slum NGO in India, which I visited in 2019. So my new effort to help them is the helloworldcookbook.com, which is full of cooking recipes from technical people just like you and me from all over the world. And I keep bringing this up every other week because I still need a lot more recipes. I've only got a few recipes since December. I got one last week, or this week, I think, from one of my friends here in San Diego. So I'm really happy about that. But I need more recipes so I can release the book this year and provide help for the kids that live in the slums in Delhi, India. And especially during this pandemic, they really need your help. And I know the two people who started the Voice of Slum, who are a total inspiration to me, have been working super, super hard to help these kids. And I'm going to play a short little video where we kind of describe our feelings when we were leaving, the Voice of Slum in 2019. And you're going to see on the video, I get pretty choked up and I can't say much. So anyway.
So today we visited Voice of Slum here in India, and it's actually very incredible the work that they're doing here with the children, to teach them and to basically feed them and make sure that they are healthy enough, and then give them an education to get out of this slum. It's a really worthy cause, and I urge anyone to donate and help.
I agree, and not only donate, but I am truly inspired by the people who run this.
Yeah.
You inspire me.
I think Chandni and Dave, you guys have done an amazing job, and you said, it's a very emotional to hear these stories and how much work you guys have done. I wish you guys success, and we will try to help you as much as we can. We're going to take your message and give it to the community.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry about the video stopping there. For some reason, PowerPoint doesn't understand when you have two screens and you click off the video. You still want it to play, but it stops it. Yeah. Anyway, so please go to helloworldcookbook.com and submit your recipes. If you are a geek, like a lot of geeks who don't cook, then you can also sign up to do other things like be a unit tester for the recipes, be an editor. I'm looking for 1 or 2 graphic artists. So there's other ways you can help too. So please go there and please volunteer to help one way or the other soon, so I can get this book out. Okay? Because I have time now to do it before I go speaking again. So get your recipes in there. So I have a brand new article on CSharpCorner called Testing Software Engineers During an Interview. There's a Better Way. I hope you go check it out. I'm up to writer number 83 on CSharpCorner. I'm getting close to 1 million reads now, so I'm getting up there in the world in CSharpCorner land. So I really appreciate everybody taking the time to read my articles, and I would appreciate it even more if you made a comment. And so please make a comment on my articles, whether you like them or not, or whether you disagree. It's okay. I'm not gonna, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I'm a big boy. So anyway, I hope you go check it out. So as every week, everybody wins a copy of Code Rush from DevExpress. Oh man, Simon, I told you the wrong advertiser. You'll see it on the video. Anyway, everybody wins a copy of Code Rush from DevExpress. If you don't know what that is, Code Rush is a code refactoring tool that's been around almost since the beginning of Visual Studio, and it's the only code refactoring tool that I use, and I swear by it. I really love Code Rush, and it makes me not only be a better developer, a more productive developer, but I was doing some refactoring this morning, and it teaches me things too. So I become a better developer. So, the cost of this, it pays for itself the first time you use it. But now you can get it for free for watching the show by going to devexpress.com/dotNetDave and get your free copy. And if you get a free copy, I'd love to hear from you how you like it and if it's helping you in your coding. Okay. All right. So we have a sponsor this week, my very first one. I'm super, super excited. And so I'm going to play a short little video. Stay tuned because Carl's coming up next.
Hello, I'm Greg. I'm a product manager for Component One. Component One is a full stack of .NET UI controls and service components that go above and beyond the standard controls in the Visual Studio Toolbox. For example, Component One includes data visualization controls like charts, gauges, maps, and pivot tables that let you build eye-catching dashboards. It includes fully featured data grids and data filter controls that let you display and do more with large data sets. Plus, it includes everything else you need to complete your UI, like ribbons, toolbars, menus, docking panels, and specialized editors. It even includes powerful service components that let you do more in code, such as data connectivity, working with cloud services, documents and reporting, file import and export, and data virtualization. Component One supports these controls across the entire .NET stack, such as WinForms, WPF, Blazor, and others. And do you know why the product is called Component One? When you drop your first control to the form in Visual Studio, it gets named like Data Grid 1, Text Box 1, Component One. So you should download the Component One toolkit today and let it be your one and only solution for all your .NET apps.
So I want to say a big shout out to Grape City for being my first sponsor on the show. And, you know, while that was playing, I want to make sure you know that, yeah, I have a sponsor for the show, but I wouldn't have a sponsor on the show that I didn't believe in and I didn't use their product. So every sponsor that comes on the show is basically dotNetDave approved. And because I've used them for a really long time, and I would never hawk something I don't use, like most of the stars in the world. And I've actually been using Component One products since the 90s, actually, when they were called a different company. So that's how long ago I've been using their components. And so I definitely recommend them for your team. And because it really will make your, you know, coding life a lot faster and better, and get your products out fast, because that's what everybody wants these days. Fast, 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 fast. Ship it, ship it. Okay. So anyway, thank you to Grape City, and I hope you guys will go check out their stuff. Great stuff. So before Carl comes on, I want to show some pictures that I dug up, and because I like to keep things. And so, you know, most of the time, Carl and I really just see each other in passing these days at the MVP Global Summit. You know, he's super busy. He's super popular, so I don't get to talk to him as much anymore. That's why I've been so excited about today. But, you know, Carl and I go way back, and I will tell you a little story. You know, he's come to our user group before multiple times to speak at our user group. One way or the other. And so here's a picture of him once with Richard speaking at the user group. And actually, the guy on the far right there is actually the lead guitarist in the dotNetDave Rock the Code World band. So anyway, there's Carl there. So I'm going to tell you a little story. So I'm going to try to make it short because this is really a long story. But one of the things that I used to do back in the late 90s at the VBITS conference, which doesn't happen anymore, is the evening before the conference, I would get a software company to basically pay for drinks and food and stuff for anybody I invited to the Marriott bar. So I would hold this kind of like private insiders party, and you only knew about it if you knew somebody, and you could come have free drinks. But basically, Carl and I were the entertainment, and Carl and I would bring our acoustic guitars with us, and I can't sing, so I'd have to play along with Carl, and he sang because he's an awesome singer. Loves Steely Dan, one of his favorite bands. But we used to pack at the top of the Marriott bar on a Sunday evening every year. In the late 90s, early 2000s. And, I really miss those days. I wish we could do those. We just don't do stuff like that anymore. And I really wish we did, because it really makes it fun for, the people who come to the conference, and not only them, but the speakers and, the sponsors and things like that. So there's a picture of me playing, and I'm sticking my tongue out because I really don't like my picture taken. So, and what's this one? Oh yeah, this is a tweet that I found that someone made after I was on Carl and Richard's show called .NET Rocks one year. Which has actually turned out to be a pretty popular show that actually, from what Carl and Richard told me, kind of surprised them. So anyway, there's a tweet from there. Here's another time Carl and Richard were at my user group speaking. They were recording, I think, their .NET Rocks stuff there, Rocks show there. I think I was one of the guests on there. So, because I really didn't know the songs that most of the songs that Carl knows, right? What him and I would do the afternoon before, the Sunday afternoon, is we would sit in his hotel room or my hotel room and basically come up with a set list. We would go through the set list a couple of times. And since I didn't know a lot of these songs, like Friend of the Devil, what other ones I don't know, The Joker, I didn't know these songs. So I would write down the basic chord progressions so I could put the sheet in front of me. No one saw it, and I could play, I could put it in front of me and play the songs with them. And some people say I was awesome. And I go, well, I don't know the songs. I'm a just good faker. Carl definitely carried the weight on that. So anyway, that's actually one of the set lists that I kept from way back in the 90s. I still have it. And I actually found this today. I don't think I've seen his picture for 20 years. And this is Carl and I. So the last year we did this at the Marriott, we actually had a full band. And so there's Carl in the middle. There's me on the right. There's Phil Weber on the left playing bass. I think we had somebody playing drums off to the side somewhere. And I don't know about you, but, this is the way to start a conference, if you ask me. And so I wish, like I said, I wish more conferences would do this. So I hope I didn't embarrass you too much, Carl. But I kind of wanted to bring up some history and kind of show where you and I came from in the world. And we're still rocking, right? So with that, I'd like to bring on my really good friend, Carl Franklin, dev guru, Blazor warrior, Azure wonk, trainer, musician, producer. Welcome, Carl.
Wow. Some intro. You found the source code to that set list. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I still have it on the piece of paper. It's up in my attic.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those pictures in years. In fact, that last one I don't even remember. I do remember playing at an MVP summit, and I think Sean Wildermuth came up and played some guitar too. But but that years ago.
Yeah, but back in the late 90s, a lot of people weren't taking pictures, of those things because we didn't have
anything with
phones and digital cameras and things, and so it's not a lot of pictures from back then. So, I just typed in Google David McCarter and Carl Franklin, and it came up.
Funny how that works.
I know. Yeah. Isn't it?
What a trip, man! Thanks for telling us the history. Carl and Gary's VB homepage, and you were .NET tips and tricks.
Yep.
Right.
VB tips and tricks.
VB tips. Of course. .NET 94. VB tips and tricks. Right.
Yeah. It was VB tips and tricks. I've changed the name a couple of times. Now it's .NET tips. But it was VB tips and tricks back then. I had T-shirts made. I would wear at the VBits conferences and stuff. And
you're absolutely right that we use Notepad. We use Notepad and save the files, rename them .html, and use that FTP to upload them.
Yeah, so all you people using WordPress, you have it so easy. from which I use WordPress. We have it so easy now compared to 27 years ago when we had nothing.
Right.
No app to do websites back then. Yeah.
I've been hearing something that starts with Z advertised on public radio. That's some new codeless website generation tool, Zuma or something like that.
Zuma?
Zuma? I don't know. I haven't checked it out, but everybody wants to build an app and nobody wants to learn code.
Right. I know. Yesterday, the day before, somebody tweeted something like, good programmers copy, better programmers paste, and I replied back, awesome programmers write it by hand.
That's right. While drinking bourbon.
It's copy and paste madness needs to stop.
Yeah, right.
It's you don't learn that way, people. Come on. And
nothing wrong with copying and pasting, so long as you step through it and you understand it, right?
Right.
If you don't understand it, don't push F5.
No, yeah. But people copy and paste and then they don't know why it doesn't work.
Yeah. They Google, why doesn't this code work?
I copy and pasted from you. Why doesn't it work?
It's like the high school students, Googling for questions for their finals, during the test.
Oh, I know.
Please solve my quadratic equation for me.
I know I'm going to, sound like an old man at this point, but
what do you mean sound like?
I am an old man. We
are old men.
but the other day I was kind of wondering something like the population of something or something like that. And all I did was, hey, Alexa, what's the population of blah, blah, blah? Boom. You know how long that would take me to do when I was a teenager?
Yeah. We'd have to ask our mom for a ride to the library.
You'd have to find the book and
find the latest book.
Yeah. It's a much different world we live in these days.
Welcome to Two Old Guys Try to Talk.
No. Too old farts to program.
Yeah.
That should be a new show right there, I think.
Two old farts.
So I know there's going to be a lot of questions. So I want to get to at least my first one, and because it's more of a personal question. So how's your family doing during this pandemic? How's your wife and your kids? And
everybody's great.
Everybody doing?
Safe. Everybody's safe. I actually got COVID-19 last year at about this time when I was on the Blazor Roadshow with DevExpress.
Yeah, but you had to cancel it.
Yeah. I mean, it was shortly after we did your event in San Diego.
Yeah, I think it was one of the last ones you did.
Yeah, we did one in LA.
Right.
And we did one in Portland. And that was the last one that we did because our driver came down with a cough and low-grade fever, and I started getting it. And so
you had to quarantine for a bit, didn't you?
Yeah, I self-quarantined in Portland.
Yeah, for 2 weeks.
In a hotel. Yeah, for a week. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful technique called muting your microphone before you blow your nose.
Or before you go to the bathroom. That would be nice too.
Oh, jeez. Right? Did you see Lino? Lino's posting about, he was teaching Lino Tadros was teaching a Xamarin Forms class online. And somebody brought their laptop into the bathroom with them and left the camera on. It's like, what is this, police academy?
Or the guy that got fired because he stood up and he didn't have pants on.
Oh, the stories. No, my stories are not that funny. But so I got COVID, and I was tested last year at about this time, and I was positive, and I just stayed home, quarantined, seriously quarantined for like a month, and then I got tested again, and it was negative. And my wife was staying with her sister at the time. So, we were safe.
Yeah.
But I just got my first vaccine today, like literally hours ago, 2 hours ago.
I'm glad you didn't get sick.
Yeah, no, so they're now saying that, excuse me, I don't want to make this the COVID show, but there's a study now that says if you've gotten COVID-19 before and recovered, that you really only need one dose of an mRNA vaccine to be completely,
Oh, really?
But I'm going to get the second one anyway.
Yeah, why not? Can't hurt, right?
No.
I'm so looking forward to this thing being over soon, at least in America. I know I'm sorry for, other countries aren't doing so well, like all my followers in India, and Britain, I think, is not doing great right now either. If you're from other countries, let me know how you're doing by making a comment. But yeah, it's we're not over, so it's not over. But I'm glad you're all doing well, and
everybody's healthy.
Yeah, my daughter got COVID too last year, and she's younger, you know, so she recovered. I was really more worried about my eldest granddaughter who has asthma, so I was really worried about her. But everybody's fine, so great. So before we get into Mahesh, that's a fake background Carl has. So
it's actually my studio.
Well, it's actually his studio, but he's not in front of it. Yeah,
but I'm not there. Yeah.
India's got 2,000 plus daily cases. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
200,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's man.
Wow.
Anyway, I have a plug at all my end of all my shows about COVID. So I know
this is fortuitous because for dinner tonight I'm going to make a lamb sog.
I'm having lamb for dinner too.
Wow. I
made my first
spinach in the fridge.
For the Hello World cookbook, I'm working on a brand new slow cooker Irish stew recipe. So I made it for the first time this week. I need to make a couple tweaks, and hopefully I'll get it done in the next 2 or 3 rounds, I guess. You know, the problem with
Guinness,
huh?
Make it with Guinness?
No, I can't drink beer. So, but no Guinness. I'm sorry. I'm sure
well.
people can put it in there if they want to, but
yeah, you can cook out the alcohol.
No, it's the gluten.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I eat gluten free. So yeah.
Are you celiac?
I've got some kind of sensitivity to it where if I get gluten, I'm like wiped out for a day. I can't do anything. I can't even work.
Wow,
that's how bad it is. Yeah,
that sucks.
So the last time
a lot of people.
Yeah. I actually should get my doctor to test me for that again, because when my doctor first told me to go gluten free, he did test me, but I wasn't celiac back then. But I don't know if it changes. I don't know enough about that, but I just have to be really careful. And that's why, you know, I cook mostly at home. You know, I do these slow cooker recipes so I can make a lot of food at one time, and it's all gluten free. I also try to make all my recipes nightshade free, and a lot of them are dairy free too. So
no potatoes, no tomatoes, eggplant, right? Eggplants and nightshade.
Sweet potatoes are great, man.
Sweet potatoes are awesome.
A lot better for you, and they're not nightshade. So anyway, let's try to get to some questions.
Okay,
And my first question is probably I try to think of a question that I know might have been asked or people are wondering. And since you're a great person to ask this with, because you and I have been around for a long time, and we've seen things come and go at Microsoft, right? And, you know, a lot of people I talk to, and I know some people are even on this show today, have a hesitation with Blazor, you know, because we've seen things come and go, like Light Switch and, you know, Silverlight and, you know, all these kind of different web kind of technologies at Microsoft. And they're hesitant, you know, and I don't blame them really. So can you kind of maybe help them with their hesitancy a little bit with that?
Sure, I'd love to. I love this question. I get asked this question a lot. And based solely on history, and if you just look at history, it kind of looks like, yeah, this is just another one of those things, right?
Right.
But you really have to look under the covers and to see the difference, okay? Silverlight was a Microsoft technology. It was a Microsoft Windows technology that turned into a web technology, but it was using a feature of websites that no longer exist, the plugin model. There's another tool or thing that used the two others that I can think of that use the plugin model, Java and Flash.
Flash, yep.
And you know what happened to Flash?
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
But the reason that Silverlight failed, and it didn't fail because of the technology. It failed because it used the plugin model, and at the time, the iPhone and the iPad were the hotness, right? And everybody was like, "Ooh, I want to write my Silverlight app so I can run them in a browser on the iPad," right? And what happened was Steve Jobs was getting reports of people that were using Flash to watch videos, and Flash is very processor intensive, and it was draining the batteries. So that was problem number one. Flash is a battery hog, power hog.
Yeah.
And the problem number 2 was that it became a vector for viruses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Apple prides itself on, pointing the finger at Microsoft,
Right.
you've got viruses and spyware and all that stuff. And we don't, because we have the curated App Store and all that stuff. And it was very successful. But on the browser, because of Flash and because of the plugin model, really. Apple decided to take the plugin model out of Safari and out of their browsers and off of the iPad. They weren't supporting Flash on the iPad and the iPhone. And because of that, Silverlight was not able to run in an iPhone and an iPad.
Right.
And so Microsoft had a very strategic decision to say, well, if the plugins are a problem, and now all these browsers were dropping plugin support also, why are we doing this? This doesn't seem like something that we should keep doing.
Right.
So I think they made the right decision in dropping it for security reasons. And because think of it, that would have encouraged all of these applications to be written in Silverlight to be a threat vector to their customers. And, that's not a good thing. So that's the problem with Silverlight. LightSwitch was also a Windows technology, right? A Microsoft technology. And I think the reason why LightSwitch failed, and I don't know what you think, David, but I think the reason why LightSwitch failed is that there just wasn't enough good fundamental sound architecture to support it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think also, I know even though Beth Massey, worked her butt off in that team, I just don't think Microsoft really marketed it the correct way, right?
Yeah.
And
the right people.
And to the right people. And I think also that the first version was pretty wonky, to use your word, and the second version was better, but I was really looking for the third one. I was hoping everything would calm down and be better, but then it was dead. And I heard some other rumors. We can talk offline about why I think that was killed. But
so let me get back to this issue with Blazor. So when we think about Blazor, we think about Blazor WebAssembly. And when, in fact, Steve Sanderson came up with the component model and all of that, WebAssembly was pretty new, but it had just been ratified. It was in the process of being ratified as a standard across all browsers. So it based on WebAssembly. I don't mean Blazor, WebAssembly. Right. WebAssembly is a virtual machine that runs in the browser, and it's completely isolated. So even though it runs its own binaries, and think of it just like DOS or Windows or Linux or whatever, it's got its own, but it's a binary virtual machine, right? It runs WebAssembly binaries. Right. And so all of these companies began creating compilers and language transpilers to WebAssembly. So this was something that they really wanted. And in terms of security, the only way that it interacts with the browser and the DOM is through JavaScript, through JavaScript calls. Right. So it's this black box that just makes these JavaScript calls. So whatever you can do in JavaScript, you can do in WebAssembly, but nothing else. Because at the end of the day, it's just calling out into the DOM like JavaScript does. Right. Yeah. Right. But the benefit is performance. Yeah. And it enabled all of these languages to be developed. So this isn't something that Microsoft was only interested in. In fact, WebAssembly came way before Blazor. And, it went, but Steve Sanderson was watching this progression. And when he had something that he could actually build on, then he went to town and built the component model. So this is something that's based on standards that go across the board. And yes, even Safari on iPhones and iOS, it wasn't because, Steve Jobs didn't like Microsoft that, he killed Silverlight or whatever. It was because it wasn't safe and it was messing up his customers' experience. And that was the fundamental reason. So the WebAssembly is, It's good to go. It's a standard. Rust is in there, and
Been around a long
PHP, I
time.
think, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's what Blazor is based off of. Yeah.
Well, Blazor WebAssembly.
Oh, it uses that. Yeah.
Yeah, Blazor WebAssembly. And here's the cool thing is that the only binaries that are in WebAssembly for Blazor is the runtime.
Mm-hmm.
And then the runtime, as you know, hosts DLLs.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take the same DLLs that run .NET Core on Windows and Linux and Mac and all those places, take those same DLLs and ship them down to the browser. And because now you have a CLR that's running on top of WebAssembly, all right,
yeah,
you can run any C# code you want.
Yeah, I think that's pretty amazing if you ask me. That we're running C# compiled in the browser. That's
now. And the runtime is compiled, but everything else is interpreted.
Right.
And it is interpreted at runtime. So, so people have complained about the performance, but in .NET 6, we're getting this AOT or ahead of time compilation feature, whereas everything, when you're ready to release, everything gets turned into a WASM binary, and then it just runs much faster.
Yeah, I've been doing Blazor for a while now, and just some personal projects. Unfortunately, I can't convince the company to use it yet, and I really like it, just because it keeps me out of JavaScript and dealing with all that headache, and I can just write C# and go along and use the common, productivity tools that you and I have been used to for a really long time, just to do a website, right? Without, learning the latest framework that came out yesterday from somebody that likes JavaScript,
And there's like no plumbing, you're not running plumbing code. It's all productivity code.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that Blazor Server actually came out before Blazor WebAssembly.
Right.
And that just takes advantage of the same component model. But instead of going from that WebAssembly CLR, WebAssembly off to JavaScript, in between they put SignalR.
Right.
And so SignalR now talks to the server where the code is, executes the code on the server. Well, Blazor executes the code on the server, and whatever changes to the UI those get sent back, and just very quick. So
and it's really fast.
It's really fast. It's faster than you could write if you did your own SignalR hub.
Right.
I know, I've tested it. But here's the other thing. Some very, very well-respected developers in this industry have, who are skeptical of Blazor, are now 100% on board. And I'm thinking of those guys from England, Mark. Geez, why can't I never remember his name? Statler.
Mark Statler. Yeah.
No, Statler and Waldorf. Where are his icons? All right. Well, anyway, some very well respected developers that I respect their opinion on things are very impressed with Blazor.
Yeah. Well, I respect you. And you've been on board with Blazor for a couple of years now, at least, or more.
Yeah. But I wasn't like, hey, this new thing is so awesome. It's gonna, we'll wait and see. Although I was very excited from the get-go. Yeah,
me too. And I still, because I'm a longtime Microsoft developer, I still kind of do the wait and see thing these days. But yeah, as soon as I saw it, and as soon as I actually saw you explain the different models at the user group, I was going, oh, okay, this is a game changer to me.
Right.
Yeah. And, it's why people aren't looking at this. I know why people aren't, but, they
old
need
pain, man. That old pain never goes away sometimes.
And your site, the Blazor Train site, you are constantly pumping out videos about, stuff you learn on Blazor and how to do things the right way. And I've seen lots of videos that you've been coming out with. So anybody, that's interested in Blazor, please go check out Carl's site.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
All right. Let's share just not the whole monitor, but let's just pick out this right here. Yeah, this is Blazor Train.
Yeah.
BlazorTrain.com.
You got a hat on.
Stupid train metaphors. It works. It's getting old right now, but so if you scroll down here, these are all the topics that I've done, and we're up to 45 topics.
Wow.
A lot of stuff. And so this last one right here, I'll scroll all the way down. Web API versus gRPC. This is the latest one. It just came out yesterday. So that is my latest project.
Yeah.
gRPC and Blazor.
I think this might be the first time I've admitted this publicly, but you just kind of reminded me for some dumb reason is that, I'm actually from, your neck of the woods. I was born in Delaware. I grew up there until the end of fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And all of my relatives still live back there. I visited them back in 2018. I went to Maryland and a couple other places to visit my relatives. But, the first profession I wanted to be as a little kid was a train engineer.
No kidding.
Yes, I wanted to.
Because you're taking the Amtrak up and down the Northeast Corridor.
And two of the homes I lived at back there, I was the last home. I was literally across the street from a rail track, right? And so the trains would be going by all the time. So I was thinking, man, that's an awesome job. Just be traveling the country, just being on a train, and actually one year there's a picture. I wish I remembered this earlier. There's actually a picture of me and my little brother, when we were, fourth, when I was like 9 and he was 6 or something. Mm-hmm. And so one morning we woke up and the freight train that was going by, our home, capsized over to our neighbor's yard. So the whole train capsized in all these yards for his.
Was there chickens everywhere?
It was kind of funny, but
So I grew up next to the train tracks as well, literally a mile or less from the train tracks, and but in the Northeast, it's all Amtrak. There aren't any freight trains really. I don't think I've ever seen a freight train in the Northeast Corridor.
There are.
Maybe they are, but they don't come up in Connecticut where I grew up. Yeah. But I remember going to my grandmother's house in Pennsylvania, and going through Pennsylvania. West to east, east to west are some of the longest freight trains I've ever seen in my life. And I remember when we heard the train a coming, we'd go a run into the window and count the cars, and over 100 usually. Yeah,
I still remember. Man, we got to stop talking about this because we'll never get to questions. But I remember even like when I was living in when we left Delaware, we moved to Flagstaff, Arizona, and that's kind of where I grew up.
Yeah.
Until I joined the Navy. And I remember back, I've been into photography since I've been a little kid. And I remember because, there's a big train track that runs through Flagstaff because that's how they get all their, it's like a way station or whatever. But anyway, mm-hmm. I remember like one time, I think my dad might have taken me this, but I actually went to the train track, stood in the middle of the train track with my camera and tripod so I could take a picture of the train coming towards me, right? And then at the last
nuts.
Yeah, then I jumped off really quick.
Good Lord, that's crazy. Oh my God. I don't know, read about you in the paper.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't ask some questions. So
all right, ask away.
So the first one I have is when will Blazor support Web Serial API for use in client side with Webassembly?
What's that? I'm sorry, I'm stupid. Yeah. Web Serial API?
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. gRPC is pretty freaking awesome. In fact, the latest Blazor train that I just showed you, I did a comparison between regular old Web API and gRPC, and gRPC was more than twice as fast. And the benchmark was downloading 5,000 records, right? Generated records.
Yeah.
And it took about 2 seconds for the first time on Web API, under 2 seconds the second time. gRPC, maybe 400 milliseconds first time, 300 the second. It's pretty powerful. And I want to, if I can share my screen one more time.
Sure.
Now that I know how to do it. I wrote, and I'm announcing right here, a gRPC generator, open source project. It's a .NET Core 5 console application that demonstrates the gRPC wizard library, which I wrote, and it's included, that generates a complete gRPC infrastructure for a hosted Blazor WebAssembly app from a simple service in an interface. So here's an example. Here's my person class, right? ID, first name, last name, bio, photo URL, no big whoop. So the first thing you need to do is create a service in your app before you use gRPC. You create a service and you need return types and request types. So request types and response types. So here's, even if you want to pass nothing, you still have to create a class, right? And here's a reply, which is just a list of person objects. And here's a request for a single person by ID. So here's an interface that you write, you know, a get all, a get person by ID. This is just an example. And you have to put this attribute on there. That's from my gRPC wizard library. And here's a simple implementation of that iPeople service, also with the attribute on. So you have to do this first, right? First, you have to have a service that you can call to do whatever you want to do remotely. And then here's the code to generate that infrastructure, right? You get the type of the service itself. You get a folder. It's really a namespace, not models folder, but it's the namespace where the protobuf objects will reside. So this is the generated gRPC code. The name of the service, people. And then there's a Proto File, which is like the interface for gRPC systems. Right. And then the output folder where you want all this stuff to go. And then you just call it, and it returns the string of all the stuff that's output. But what's cool is that you get a README like this. So here's the stuff that goes in. This is for a WebAssembly application, right? This is the stuff that goes in your shared project. It generates these classes, which are, it generates a Proto File, which goes in the shared project too, which I'll show you in a minute. It adds these converter files because guess what? It doesn't change your people, your person class. Like you're going to call it with your person class, and you don't have to use the types that gRPC requires you to use. It actually does the translation for you automatically, the conversion. So here's stuff for the, you know, all the rest of it and the client and all that stuff. This is what a Proto File looks like. And it's an interface, right? So this is saying, here's my class, my service name is gRPC people. It has a get, these are the remote procedure calls, a get all that takes a get all people request. And it automatically prepends gRPC to everything so it won't collide with your stuff, right? gRPC person. And this is what gets confusing when you're doing gRPC, is that whatever these are messages, but they're like classes. Think of them like classes, right? But you can't name them the same as your classes, right? So you can't, because this is going to generate a CS file named this with this class. But also notice that these are camel cased and they turn into Pascal case. But now you need your messages, and you define those here. And then it generates. So this is all generated, right? So you don't have to write this. It also generates your server-side service, which uses your existing service and does all the, you know, the gRPC stuff. This is the gRPC service that was generated as the base. And then here's your client that you're going to use in your client application. And this just takes your
endpoint.
Yeah. So it injects your gRPC people client, and then it just uses the .NET types for ins and outs, and it does the conversions automatically.
Ah,
So this
awesome.
is really cool. If you like gRPC and you like the performance, but you don't like all the setup and the stuff, all you have to do is make that interface and implement the interface. You can even test it by calling it from your web API, that same service, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get your ins and outs, and then you can do a comparison test after you run the generator. So I'm announcing this generator right here, and yeah,
That's awesome. You're announcing on my show.
Yeah.
So everybody go check that out. I now you got me excited about it. So when I update my Blazor app, I'm going to definitely look into this for sure.
Yeah. So it goes along with the question about the web API service API. I can't remember what that was. Web service API. I don't know what the question was. Maybe can you put that question back up?
You put Oh no,
that's
not the one.
Last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Web serial API. So I don't know what that is, but if you want simply to something that's web serial API. I didn't read the whole thing. I need to communicate with a COM port from the end user's browser. Oh, okay. So there's a serial port API for the web. Apparently. And my answer to that, instead of all this, which I wanted to announce anyway, so it's okay. But my answer to that is, if you can find a C# implementation of it, right, then you can do that. And if you can find a JavaScript implementation of it, then you can just use JavaScript interop to call into it. So that's the cool thing about WebAssembly, is that anything that you can't do in WebAssembly, but you can do in JavaScript, you can write an interop layer, and you can just call the JavaScript methods from C#.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks. I'm excited to announce that on my show, and I hope everybody goes and checks it out after the show. Not now, after the show.
Literally nobody knows about it.
Yeah, I know. So I'm excited. So we're getting close on time, but I at least want to get to one, maybe two more questions before we wrap up. And so Patricia asks, is it recommended to use Bootstrap with Blazor server side?
Yeah, Blazor server side and client both use Bootstrap. So the templates, when you create a new Blazor application, there is a Bootstrap file in there. And if you don't like it, you can just swap it out for the one you do like. The theme that you like. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. I mean, I'm not a CSS expert, but
most people aren't.
Nor am I a Bootstrap expert, but I do know that if you go to the Bootstrap site, and if you find that something in the Bootstrap file that you're using or swapping out is interfering with Blazor in some ways, like there are some things that I'm thinking of, like the grid system, I think. So if you go to getbootstrap.com, you can actually create a custom Bootstrap library that only has the things that you want in it. So you can take out those things that are causing problems, and eventually you'll figure it out. But yeah, cool. I've used my own Bootstrap themes in Blazor before. Yeah.
And Patricia also asks, we can make this short because I know this could kind of take a while to explain maybe, but can you tell me a little about the hosting Blazor applications?
Azure.
Yeah. It's the best. Next. Right? But you can host them on any platform, right?
All right. So Blazor server has to be hosted in a .NET Core web application. It is a .NET Core web application.
Yeah. So that can be on Linux or...
Yeah. Can be on anything. And a Blazor WebAssembly application can be a static site. It can be just wrapped up and packaged on a CDN, content delivery network. It doesn't need a server.
Yeah, serverless.
Yeah. Serverless. Yeah, and actually, if you look in Blazor Train, I talked to Jeff Fritz about doing serverless Blazor. So that's the static web apps in Azure. They use functions to do everything.
Cool.
Yep.
So I'm really sad that we're getting close.
Well, who makes up the rules about time anyway?
Oh, well, Mahesh does. He's on the call, so you got to. He's my boss, right? So
I see. Sorry.
I did have a couple, questions for you. You plugged your new thing. So, is there anything else you want to plug while you're here besides the gRPC
If there are any, music fans in the audience, I suppose I could plug FranklinBrothersBand.com.
Yeah, do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you and your brother play out all. I mean, you guys have been playing out already, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, I'll show you the website. So we've made a ton of live videos, and when I say live videos, like these are full multi-track. Let's go here.
Well, Mahesh said we can go long, so we don't get special guests.
Oh, really? Awesome. So these are full multi-track recordings that we've done live and then gone back and mixed them and added them to the video. So there's a lot of, obviously, Steely Dan here, but there's also original tunes like
you guys write your own songs too, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple here that I did with John Schofield. That would be Chain Reaction and Groover Get Out of the Way. And what else is original? She Won is original.
You have CDs out too. I have one. I mean, I think you gave me one, but
I'm finding less and less people that will accept CDs as a means of media, just because they're so out of fashion.
I still like CDs better,
Yeah.
And I think maybe I haven't said this on the show, but one of the people I know who's a Grammy Award nominated artist. His name is John, and he's one of the lead guitarists in one of the bands I love called Seven Dust. And so John and I have talked a couple times, on the phone together. We talk about guitar stuff and things like that, and because I've met them multiple times when they've been in San Diego. And
so I didn't know that Jim was your lead guitar player.
Yeah.
That's so cool. He was like the winner of our contest or something. He got to hang out with us.
Oh, really?
Drive to the next city.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And his wife made a killer banana bread. That's what I remember.
So anyway, the last time I talked to John on the phone, I asked John. So John, because they're not the biggest group in the world, and so they don't make millions like Lady Gaga or somebody like that does. But I asked him, I go, John, there's streaming, there's iTunes, there's CDs, they're out, where does the band make the most money? Right. And he said CDs, flat out. I go, okay.
They're physical.
Right. And I've never bought another song streaming again, because both you and I are both musicians. We know how it goes. And
support your bands by buying CDs.
Right. Are struggling. So if you really want to support your band, go buy a CD.
Absolutely.
Don't stop this streaming stuff, because they don't make any money off of that. And to give you a real world example of that, last year, of course, during the pandemic, one of the other bands that I do all their photography whenever they come into town is and I've known them for a long time, is Queensryche, right? And the new lead singer of Queensryche posted one of his royalty checks from like Spotify or something. So I'm assuming it's for a quarter, maybe it's for 6 months, but for a quarter or whatever it was, he made it like $143.
Yeah, and that was probably like 1 million streams.
Yeah. So stop listening to streaming music unless you own it. I mean, I feel a little bit better about listening to music on Amazon because it only plays music I purchased.
Yep.
But I don't use Spotify. I don't use any of those other services because the bands just get ripped off. So stop ripping off the bands, everybody. It's and especially now during a pandemic, they're really hurting. Because the other thing most of you don't realize is bands don't make money off of selling music anymore. They make money off of touring, right? And so when the whole world shut down last year, they've been in trouble. A lot of bands have been in trouble.
My band has been the single biggest expense in my life since I was 15.
Yeah.
Like, all the things that I spend money on, cars, whatever, all right, house. Okay. But, but the band, is not a money-making operation, and everybody in the band knows it. I like to pay the guys as much as I can. My brother and I, we don't accept money when we get paid from a venue, so that we can split it up among the guys, because we all play because we love it.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Yeah, and especially those of us who have jobs, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Music is a big passion for us. It's not a career,
Right.
Because we make a lot more money, probably doing software engineering than being in a band that, plays in a local area for sure. Yeah. I know bands they make their living off of doing that. I've interviewed many of them.
Yeah.
But that's really tough to do, and it takes a lot of work, so please support your bands, buy CDs, buy their merch. Don't stream music anymore. I'm sorry. I know your young kids are going to get mad at me, but anyway.
Or just pay for the music that you're streaming. I think
pay for it. Yeah. I mean,
buy the discs.
I don't steal music. I buy it. Right. I never steal music. And I did a little bit when my kids were living here because they got me on that train, but I don't anymore. And
there is another thing that I want to show, and that is I started a new show called the .NET Show.
Yeah. So what's that about? I saw that.
All right. Here, let me show you that. The .NET Show I started because I wanted to do something that was beyond Blazor. And so, here's my good friend George. And the gimmick for the .NET Show is that I find historical figures and animate them with my voice.
Wow, that's cool.
So the very first show I did was Abraham Lincoln, and I interviewed James Montemagno. Here, let me get this. I think I did the wrong thing. Yeah, there we go. Hi, this is Carl Franklin. Yada yada. Oh, maybe you can hear me if I do this.
Not unless you turned on the sound when you shared it. It won't work. Yeah.
All right. Well, don't worry about it. So yeah, you can see here's me down in the corner, and I'm talking to James.
Oh, so you're Lincoln, and you're just answering questions.
Well, I'm asking questions, just like you and I are talking. We're having a conversation, and occasionally it gets around to me, and I ask a question. But then here we're having a conversation right there, and but I didn't take video of myself during the filming of it. And I'm using this tool, and it's really weird, but it's called Crazy Talk. Let me see if I can find it.
Does that turn like an animation into whatever you're speaking?
Yeah, you pick a here it is. Crazy Talk. It's like $100. Oh, come on. Just take me to the crazytalk.com. That's where it is. So yeah, here it is. So you basically take a picture or a portrait or whatever. Could even be a cartoon. This is awesome, huh? Live TV. All right, go to Crazy Talk and you'll see it. So basically you stop sharing. So you take a picture and then you a portrait, and you pick out the spots on the face, right? And then once it knows where all the points are on the face to animate, then you put in an audio file and you just let it go, and it exports an MP4 or a MOV file, and it's a lot of fun, and it was a real time vampire for me. The first night I stayed up till like 4 o'clock in the morning animating pictures of my friends and stuff.
Well, you gave me an idea. There's a guy I worked with actually just right up the street he drew the very first VB Dave cartoon, right? And I still use that icon even now, but over 20 years later. And
right.
So you gave me an idea. Maybe I'll get that Crazy Talk and I'll animate myself.
Yeah, it's kind of an insurance policy, because if you get old and wrinkly and ugly, you just take a cartoon of your former self and you're immortalized there. But one of the reasons I wanted to do it isn't just because of this, but after this pandemic is over, I want to get in an RV and I want to travel around, and I don't want to take my green screen with me. So that's the real issue.
You always have an open invitation in San Diego. You know that, I hope.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I have a few more friends in San Diego that I need to see as well. So we'll definitely hook up.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I still remember when, that bartender got mad at us because after the .NET Rock show, they wanted to go home, but we wanted to drink,
Yeah.
to go home, and I go, come on, man, I have 25 people here, and you want us to leave?
Right.
Come on. You know,
Yeah.
you know how much Carl and Richard drink? Come on.
I don't drink like I used to, though.
You drink the nice stuff. That's
We
what
do drink good stuff. When I do, I don't always drink, but when I do,
it's the good shit. Oh,
and
sorry.
Dos Equis.
Oh my gosh, Simon's going to get so mad at me.
We can't say shit.
Yeah,
Can't say that.
So one of the things I want to do, if you have your guitar handy, is
I can get it.
Yeah, maybe you play a song, but Simon kind of just reminded me you can't play Steely Dan because YouTube will go nuts.
No, I can play. I can play original songs.
Yeah, if you could do an original one, that'd be awesome, and show the geeks just how great of a musician you are.
Okay, well, I'll go get my guitar, and you talk to the kids in the meantime.
Okay.
All right.
So, hey, kids, how do you like the show so far? I'm sorry we've gone a little bit over, but, Carl Franklin is just, not only one of my longtime friends, but, just an awesome guy, an awesome developer, and somebody that most of us in our world knows. So, hey, Mahesh, how's it going, man?
Hey, great. This is a good show. This is fun. I'm having fun. Carl is funny.
I don't want to
full of information, full of tricks.
Yeah, music, COVID, coding.
Yeah,
that's
awesome. That's awesome. Great. Yeah, no, listen, we are thinking, and I know we're going to talk about this show anyway, but let's plan this conference, in-person conference. We got to figure out the time and date. Hopefully by June, July.
You're announcing that on the show. Do you want to announce it? What your idea on the show?
We don't know yet. So we don't know yet. So we got to finalize this after that.
Okay.
We don't know the dates yet. We're talking about the conference, in-person conference. So we don't know the dates yet.
Yeah.
But we know, looks like we're going to do in Atlantic City. And obviously we're going to have, hey, Carl. Hey, Carl, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Awesome. This is very great, fun show. I'm having fun. Blast.
Oh, good.
Okay, so Carl, you want to play us one of your original tunes?
Yeah, maybe we ought to have some fun and bring back an old standard. That old commercial that I used to do for the K-Smell record collection. You remember that?
Oh, yeah, do that. As long as YouTube doesn't get mad at this.
How can they? It's parody. I'm going to turn down my record volume here just a little, so I'm going to be a little quieter.
Videos of you doing that at the user group.
Sorry?
I still have videos of you doing this at the user group.
Yeah, it was fun. So here we go. It's a word from our sponsor, if I can remember it. You've heard it sung around the campfires. You've lifted your voice to its haunting melody countless times. Now K-Smell introduces an all-new collection, The Best of Clementine. That's right. You'll hear Clementine done by your favorite artists. Here's the original song. In a canyon, in a cavern, excavating for mine, dwelt a miner, 49er, and his daughter, Clementine. Right? But have you heard Clementine done by Neil Young? In a canyon, in a cavern, excavating for a mine, dwelt a miner, 49er, and his daughter Clementine. Clementine by Neil Young. How about by The Who? In a cavern, in a canyon, excavating for a mine, dwelt a miner, 49er, and his daughter daughter Clementine. Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling Clementine. You were lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine. Right?
That's awesome.
How about Willie Nelson? In a canyon, in a cavern, excavating for a mine, dwelt a miner 49er and his daughter Clementine. Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh. Oh my darling Clementine. You were lost and gone forever. Dreadful sorry Clementine.
That's awesome. Wow.
So there's more, but you know,
So many talents. Yeah.
I think you get the idea. We remember doing that on the bus at VBits, going from San Francisco to Yosemite and back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
nonstop.
Yeah, I remember that. I think one year we had somebody brought a bunch of percussion stuff, and we were all back there doing the percussion while you were singing.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that guy brought a drum, a hand drum.
Yeah, he had a drum, but he also I think he also had a bag of other things. I had like those little sticky things I don't know what they're called, where you put them together. I don't know.
Sticky.
Well, there's two little short sticks, and you click.
Oh like like claves or something.
Yeah. I forget what they're called.
When you said
awesome.
Sticky, I thought you meant sticky. Sticky.
Oh, those of you who didn't know a lot of those songs, all those musicians were really like popular in the 70s and stuff. And, you know, since that's, you know, where Carl and I come from, basically, you know, we're big into Steely Dan and those groups like that. I'm more into heavier stuff than Carl is, but, you know, I still grew up with those bands, you know, back in the, you know, late 60s, early 70s. And man, I really miss rock stars like that, you know. We just don't have rock stars like that anymore.
Nope.
Unfortunately, it's all being covered up by pop marketing crap, if you ask me. But
social media.
Money game.
Social media, yeah. MTV, you know, MTV killed the radio star, but you know, MVT also killed the video star. So
I saw a meme that said, happy, what is it? MTV is celebrating its 40th year. Thanks for 14 years of music.
It's so true. I turn on those channels now and I go, where's the music? There's no music. VH1, MTV, none of them. You know, they all play those stupid reality shows now. And anyway, that was awesome, Carl. I really appreciate you, you know, singing for us, and hopefully in the future, you and I, you know, I'm really looking forward to you and I actually being at the same conference so we can kind of, you know, rehash what we did back in the 90s and do that, because you know that's as Mahesh knows, when he has me play guitar and smash it and throw the pieces out in the audience, you know, I dig doing that stuff, right? I dig.
You can only afford to do that because you write code.
Well, no, I can only afford that because it was a cheap Indian guitar. That's really
okay.
I would never bust one of my guitars. Never, ever. No. You know, no, we buy one and then I break it. Yeah, we buy like a Strat copy from India, and then we break it at the end and throw the pieces out in the audience.
Started that trend? Was it the Who? Maybe
the Who did. Yeah.
Pete Townsend.
Yep. They used to trash their entire stage at the end of every concert.
Right.
Yeah. And they used to trash their dressing rooms, and they were notorious for doing that. Yeah.
Wow.
They hated Keith. The hotel owners hated Keith Moon because he trashed every room he was in. You know, so yeah, he was a nut. He was a nut job. You know, and he's
Don't do drugs,
why it's why he's not around anymore.
Yeah.
Hasn't been around since the late 70s, early 80s, or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was awesome. I don't know, Mahesh, this is, I think, maybe my best show ever. It was the funnest for me, at least. You know?
It's definitely one of the greatest. Yep, I think this is we will find out after the show how many viewers we get. But I loved it. I think this was fun / learning, right? Blazor's question is, I think, Carl, the way you explained is the most detailed and with background why and how and why everybody should adapt that. So that was good learning.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's me.
Yep. Yeah, we got to do these more. But I need to make a correction, and I have a question, right, Carl? I looked at your train, the Blazor train, awesome videos. Are they all updated now with the latest version of Blazor?
Well, the ones that mattered, I basically say, you know, this is beta, but if you go to this website, you know, it'll show you the latest status of things.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, basically everything was .NET Core 3 up until .NET Core 5 came out, or .NET 5 came out. And then I switched immediately over to .NET 5. But it turns out that the Blazor stuff, you know, didn't really change. The Blazor WebAssembly did, obviously, but the Blazor server stuff, which I was using most of, it didn't change. No,
and I think major change was more like .NET and C#. Yeah, that was
sure.
Yeah.
Great, that's great.
The Blazor component model didn't change.
Yeah. That's
just got
awesome.
more stuff in the box.
Yeah, and listen, every time you need anything, we have, you know, you want us to promote anything, we would love to promote these on our platforms. We are here. Again, our CSharpCorner is all about helping our developers however we can, and to give you a platform to you and anybody, right?
Can I get a Gone Vindaloo to go?
Yeah, definitely. And that's easy to ship these days. Just order from.
Send it over.
Yes. But I think we are toying around the idea of having an in-person conference in Atlantic City this summer. And we want to do actually inside and outside and also on the beach, something totally different and fun.
Hey, I know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is perfect.
Carl and I can play on the beach, you know, singing songs and stuff together. That'd be awesome.
Done. I think done. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work with the mayor. I have a friend, he knows mayor, so I'm trying to work with dates, and so we can get good deals on, you know, places and all that.
I'm there.
Yeah,
I'll be there in a second. I need to speak.
Awesome. And now you're recorded, and now you cannot go back. That was a trick question.
That's why Mahesh joined the show. Is he wanted to get you on tape saying that you'll come. I get it.
I have one more correction. Like on this show, I mean, on my shows, I mean, rule is there's no rule. So I don't know who. I think Simon made the rule. With me, there's no rules.
YouTube made the rules.
YouTube made
Simon
the rule,
or me. Yeah,
because Dave said, "Hey, I want to perform with the guitar." I was like, "Sure. Why don't you even break it in the end?"
Oh, but Carl, I don't know if you remember, Carl, but this is the same guitar.
Oh yeah.
That, you know, I played with you in the V-Bits all those years.
Wow, that's so cool.
I still got the same one, and you know, I still use a story from you actually, because one time when we were at V-Bits and you played my guitar for a little bit, you handed it to me and said to me, "Dave, oh my God, this is the best setup guitar I've ever played. Who does your guitars?" And so I actually use your story to promote my repair shop, which I still go to now.
Wow. That's cool.
Because if Carl Franklin says it's the best setup job, then it's the best setup job.
To which everybody says, "Who's Carl Franklin?"
Everybody knows Carl Franklin. Trust me. People don't code. They even know Carl Franklin.
Not as a guitar player, though.
Not as a guitar player. Yeah. So anyway, you want to talk a little bit more about that, and then we should probably go because it's getting kind of late now. I don't want people to get upset we went up too much. We're already 20 minutes over. So
yeah, we can spend more time behind the scene, right? We want to talk about the one conference. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Carl, I kind of want to wrap it up, and I hate to go, but I would talk for the next 2 hours with you because I miss you, man. And
miss you too, Dave.
I miss your wife. I miss saying and talking to her. Yeah. And I can't wait till we get back to the the VBITS and not the VBITS, the MVP summit, and maybe this conference in Atlantic City in the summer. And
well, I'm coming to Vegas in the fall.
Oh yeah, Dev Intersections in the fall, right? Yep. And so I'm really, really so happy you've been on my show, and you always have an open invitation. Anytime you want to speak about anything, come on my show.
Great, and my pleasure.
It's
thanks for letting me announce the gRPC generator. That was really nice.
Yeah, and I actually, you're welcome. I'm glad you did it. And I actually sent Richard an email yesterday asking to be on the show because I didn't want him to feel left out. So I wanted, because I've known Richard for a long time too, and
that guy has the best stories.
Oh, I know.
He's got more stories than anyone's ever heard.
Oh yeah, just sitting around having a drink with you and Richard is just like golden. It's
a wonderful experience.
I know. Well, thank you very much, and stay safe. And I can't wait to see you again. Hopefully it's this summer. But I'm really looking forward to hanging out with you again. And thanks for being on the show.
Me too, Dave. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Well, I don't know about you all, but man, this is the funnest show I've had. I mean, all my shows are fun. I love doing the show because, I try to not only bring on code, but fun and, talk about anything we want to talk about, like COVID or music or whatever. This is not strictly a coding show. It's basically whatever comes up, So anyway, thanks to Carl, and I'm so glad he took some time out of his day on a Saturday to come speak with you all and with me. And I can't wait to check out his new library he's coming out with, and I can't wait to see him again in person, not only speaking but playing guitar together. I really miss that, Carl. And so anyway, I got a couple more slides and we're out of here. Those of you who want to go to sleep, sorry, all my followers in India. So here's my latest Twitter poll. I was kind of wondering, how often do your computers get changed to work? Because I think it's a really important thing that they get changed out often. And unfortunately, I'm not hearing the numbers that I wanted to hear. And to me, since computing power, basically doubles every 2 years, I believe, people who really need that power, like, software engineers, graphic artists, video people, things like that, need to have a computer that's 2 years or less. I mean, that's all there is to it. And, buying a computer is a heck of a lot cheaper than having, software engineers or graphic artists waiting around doing nothing while things compile. So come on, companies, get on the ball. And I've already written an article about this that, I think, all new computers should be given to people like that. And then after the 2 years, they could then be given to other people like admin people and stuff like that. You can still use them for 5 years, just not for developers. Come on. Anyway, I'm always doing Twitter polls. I have a brand new one out right now. Hope you go check out. If you follow me in real.netDave, I'm always kind of doing this stuff. So. Oh, I decided to add some geek humor today because I was in a good mood because I was getting to talk to Carl Franklin. And I only want to say this because I was really honored with the retweet that I got back. But, I think last week I made a tweet about, if you haven't watched this movie, you're not a real developer. And unfortunately, some people took that the wrong way, but, it was really kind of tongue in cheek. Carl Franklin will know Spinal Tap movie. That's an insider kind of, a musician movie. And so this is the insider software engineer movie. It's called Office Space. It came back in the 90s. It's flat out my favorite movie for about software engineers. It's actually done by a very famous director who he originally started MVT doing Beavis and Butthead, and then he's done some other movies, including Silicon Valley TV show. And anyway, his name's Mike Judge. And so when I did this tweet, I tagged him on it because I figured that, because the reason I tagged him is because I want a sequel, right? And guess what? Mike Judge liked my tweet. So let's hope there's going to be a sequel to Office Space. That would be awesome, Mike Judge. Just if you need ideas, I have lots. So anyway, don't forget, next week I'll be there. I won't be speaking, but I'll definitely be watching because I need to learn more about Cosmos DB. Yes, I'm dotNetDave, but I'm not an expert in everything. So I will be watching next week the Azure Cosmos DB conference free on online. So please go to gotcosmos.com/conf and attend next week. It's 2 full days of free training on Cosmos DB. And if you haven't checked out like document-based databases, you need to, because to me, I don't know if everybody will agree, but to me, that's the future of databases. Relational databases, I think, will go away. And they've already started going away. And so we'll still need them, but I think a lot of things are going to be moved to document-based databases like Cosmos DB. So go check that out. Thanks again for watching. It's going to take me a while to come down from this show. I've had so much fun at the show, and I'm so glad you all were here to join in on the fun and learn some things along the way and hear some music, right? So I'm still working on next week's guest, but the next week's after that, I already have somebody signed up. So I hope you'll come back next week and the week after or the week after. I also want to say thanks again to Grape City for sponsoring my show this week. Thanks a lot. You're brave, and I thank you for that. Please be safe, everybody out there, from the COVID pandemic. Like I said in the beginning, it's not over. I know a lot of people, especially in America, are pretending it's over, but it's not over. So please, please, please listen to your medical science professionals, not your politicians for the most part. And I know a lot of you are able to do this. So please, please, please donate blood at your local blood bank. And because the blood banks are in a dire shortage of blood, especially during the pandemic, and they're having a lot of problems. And so it only takes a little bit of time for you to go down and donate blood, a half hour maybe, and 45 minutes. And it will make you feel better for helping a fellow human. And maybe depending on the blood bank you go to, you get some free t-shirts and stuff. Who knows? And thanks again. If you have any ideas for the show, please email me here at Rockin Code World at CSharpCorner.com. If you have any guests you would like me to invite on the show, please do that there. If you don't like something about the show, email me too. Like I said, I can take it. And with that, this was an awesome show, and I can't wait to see you back here next week on Rockin the Code World with dotNetDave.